Hey, so welcome back. Here we are. We're going to continue talking about the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem states a right triangle has three sides. Two sides are called legs, and the third is called the hypotenuse. For ease, we're going to call the sides A, B, and the hypotenuse C. The theorem says if I take the side length and I square it and add it to the next side length and square it, then I will get the length of the side C, or the hypotenuse, when I square it. So one thing that I really did not talk about was the sides A and B can be labeled any way we want them. They're interchangeable. So in other words, I could call this side A, and I could call this side B. And then this would be side C. So let's see how that works. Let's just pretend that this is 3, this is 4. That means 3 squared is 9, plus 4 squared is 16. 9 plus 16 is 25. So that means that C squared is 25. Well, let's see if we change these around what happens. So here we go. Let's see. If I said then that this was side A and it was 3, and this was side B and it was 4, watch. 4 times 4 is 16. 3 times 3 is 9. I still get 16 plus 9 is 25. So it doesn't matter whether this is side A or this is side A. The other will always be side B. That is because of the associative property of addition. It doesn't matter the order I add to things, they will always be the same. So let's go back to our discussion. That lets us know sides A and B can be labeled in any way we want. They're interchangeable. So now let's go and look at a couple of triangles to try and figure out how they work. I'm going to tell you that these are all right triangles. They're all just different sizes and different lengths. So let's say, for example, this side is 5. We'll call it side A. And this side B is 7. Well, that means 5 squared is 25, plus 7 squared is 49. So 25 plus 9 is 14, gives me 74. So C squared is equal to 74, which means the length of side C is the square root of 74. Okay, let's look at another one. Let's say that we know this. Let's say that this happens to be 13. The length of C happens to be 13. Let's say the length of A is 7. And I don't know the length of B. So I have 169, because 13 squared is 169, equals B squared plus 7 squared, which is 49. So in order to find B, now all I do is subtract 49 from both sides. I get B squared equals 120. So B squared is 120, means the length of B is the square root of 120. Let's try this one. Let's say that I know B, and let's call it 11, and let's call this C, or hypotenuse. We'll call it the length of 15, and I don't know what A is this time. So I know A squared plus 11 squared is 121 if I plugged it into a calculator. And I know that 15 squared, if I plugged it into a calculator, is 225. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 121 from both sides, and I get A squares equals 104. So now I'll take the square root to find the length. So the length is the square root of 104. We're going to continue on this conversation throughout this entire practice today. So make sure you go through, fill in all of the, draw it, find all of the lengths, find all of the hypotenuse, indicate which ones are right triangles, do the things that are instructed. And then there's 2 questions with about 4 or 5 questions, parts to each question at the very end. Go ahead and get that done if you have questions.